Hello and welcome to today's video. Today, I wanted to give you 6 food-based histamine intolerance tips. So take it from me as somebody that had debilitating histamine intolerance to the point where I was bedridden, I was disabled. I literally had a full-time carer and I was receiving disability benefits in the United Kingdom to the point where now I have completely recovered. So I don't have histamine intolerance at all anymore. I can eat all histamine containing foods. I can eat chocolate. I can have pizza. I can even drink wine if I want. I don't really drink, but I can if I want to. I eat a lot of cheese. So I'm completely histamine tolerant now. So I've walked this journey. I get it. I get it better than anyone that you could talk to because I've been through it myself. And I was histamine intolerant for an extended period of time. I'm talking like 5 or 6 years. And through that time in my journey, I learned so much about histamine intolerance. I learned loads of tips and tricks. I had to eat low histamine. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I just want to share with you, because if someone gave me all of this insight at the beginning of my histamine intolerance journey, it would have made my process so much faster and so much easier. So let's get started. So the first thing is freshness. Freshness makes all the difference, especially when it comes to meat and animal products. So the really important thing to understand is that all animal products contain an amino acid called histidine. And given enough time, microbes will begin to grow on whatever the meat is. If this is fish, if this is chicken, if this is beef, whatever it is, these microbes are going to grow and they're basically going to take that histidine and break it down into histamine. And the longer you leave it, the more of this histidine gets broken down, more histamine gets produced, and the histamine content of that food increases. At the moment of slaughter, like right when you kill the animal, it's basically completely zero histamine. I mean, there's a little bit in there, but it's like a trace amount. Everyone will be tolerant to an animal freshly slaughtered. But the longer that goes between when the animal dies and when you actually eat it, the more histamine that's going to build up. So freshness is really important. And this is something that a food chart simply can't show you. I have a food sensitivities list. I'll actually leave a link so that you can get that if you want below. I'll stick a little demo up here so you can see my food sensitivities list. I love it. It's amazing. We basically compiled all the different information from all of the different food sensitivities places, like the SIGI histamine tolerance list, oxalate content, lectins, a whole bunch of stuff. We stuck it all in one list. It's really good. So this is really nice for like looking at the histamine content of, say, like different fruits and vegetables and stuff like that, which is a bit more linear. But when it comes to meat and animal products and fish, the freshness makes all the difference. So you really want to prioritize making sure that you get meat that is really fresh. Like if you're buying meat in the supermarket, don't buy the reduced price stuff. Buy the stuff that has the longest expiry date. That's the freshest stuff. If you can work with a farm to make sure that you're getting it really super fresh, that's going to make all the difference. And a little bonus tip here for you. If you're getting fish is one of the trickiest things to get because it builds up histamine so fast. But what I found works really well, I've done this myself, I've done this with hundreds of my clients, this works on repeat every single time. If you can find a source of fish in the frozen section of the supermarket, and if you can read on the packet that it says that the fish is caught and frozen on the ship, it's flash frozen right when it's caught, that is going to be really low histamine fish. And it's also frozen already, so it's not going to build up any histamine through the processing. It's consistently a really good way to get some sort of fish, which is really nice for omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory, and to bring fish, which usually a lot of people think is just completely off limits if they have histamine intolerance. Fish has no histamine in it. It's the amount of time that it takes for it to build up that causes the problem. So if we get it flash frozen and it's frozen on the ship, you can eat it and you're not going to have a problem. So I don't know about in America, but in the UK, I know you can get this in Sainsbury's and in Tesco's. Go and look in the frozen section. You can get flash frozen like cod or some sort of like white fish, and also Atlantic salmon. It's not farmed, it's real fish, not the farmed stuff. So the next tip also on this theme of freshness, we're talking about meal prep. When I started, I basically had to prepare every single meal whenever I wanted to consume it from scratch. And it was exhausting. It's like, at this point, I was really restricted in what I could eat and it was really hard for me to get enough calories. So I was doing 4 meals a day. So I was freshly preparing 4 meals every single day. Who has time for that? Like really, I at the time, like I was unemployed. I actually was on disability. So this was my primary focus. But if you're one of the walking wounded where, you know, you have kids or you have a job, like you just simply can't be making food fresh 4 times a day. It's absolutely ridiculous. So what I found works really well is if we prepare in a batch, so we cook everything all together, make like a soup or a stew, or we bulk prep food and then freeze it as quickly as possible, we can keep those histamine levels really, really low. Then we can just take it out of the freezer, we can basically freeze it in single portion sizes. So then you can just take it out, reheat one portion, and you've got a meal ready to go. But what's really the key here is the time between getting the ingredients and then cooking them. So again, the meat has to be really fresh when you get everything really, really fresh. And then after we finish cooking it, we want to cool it down really, really fast to get it to the point where we could freeze it as quickly as possible. This is going to reduce histamine buildup. So what I found works really well is to get like a big stock pot or whatever it is that you're cooking it in. And as soon as you finish cooking it, fill the sink up with cold water and then put that big saucepan in it. And all of the heat will disperse into the cold water. Then we let the cold water go down the drain. We fill it back up with cold water again. So we're basically doing like a double boiler, but it's the opposite. It's like a double cooler. So we're basically going to keep replacing that cold water until we bring that temperature down low enough that it's safe for us to put that in the freezer. And then we're going to freeze it as quickly as possible. And the best that I managed to do this was getting this done in about 10 to 15 minutes. And at that sort of time frame, you're not going to get any histamine buildup at all. You're really going to get absolutely none because we just cooked the food. So all the bacteria that was there is completely dead. And then we're cooling it down really, really fast and getting it in the freezer. So this is an amazing quality of life hack. And it also can be really nice because sometimes we fall in this pattern, especially when we have like a lot of food sensitivity of eating the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And it makes food feel really boring and makes life feel really monotonous. But if we do it this way, we can prep like 3 or 4 different dishes and then they're in the freezer and then we can just pop a different one out and then a different one. And then we don't have to have the same thing over and over and over again on repeat. And if you're doing like 4 meals a day, I'm not saying you have to do this for all 4 of those meals. Maybe you do 2 of them fresh and then 2 of them from this kind of like frozen storage system that you have. This way it gives you a little bit more freedom and a little bit more flexibility. This is definitely a top tier hack and it improved my quality of life a lot because I was also dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome at the time. So 4 meals a day, absolutely unsustainable. So my next tip is a way to make broth. So you get all the benefits of things like bone broth, but with low histamine levels. And this is one of the really tricky things a lot of people are beginning to realize. Histamine intolerance is a gut problem. You have a gut flora imbalance, your digestion's compromised, there's a gut issue. But all of the things that are gut healing, like fermented foods and broth and all these beneficial things you can't do because they're high in histamine. I actually have a hack for all of these because like I said, I've been through this and I've worked on it. My gut is way better now. It's more healed and I'm histamine intolerant again. And this is because I found these hacks and I found a way to work on healing the gut even with the histamine sensitivity. So the trick to making low histamine broth is we don't want to cook just the bones. If we just make bone broth where we're using just bones, you're going to have a much higher level of certain types of biological amines or bioactive amines like histamine, like glutamine, glutamate. People can get that kind of like crazy sensitivity in the head from bone broth. Is the really high glutamate levels. So the trick is we actually cook something like a whole chicken, or if we're going to use beef, we use like a whole joint with some muscle meat as well. It's really important that instead of cooking just the bone, we need bone, connective tissue, and some muscle meat as well. When we cook it like this, we actually end up with a completely different composition of amino acids in that broth. We also want to adjust the cook time. The longer that you cook it, the more histamine is going to build up. And this is again because this kind of histidine is breaking down, producing histamine. It's not bacterial, but it's from the cooking process. So in my experience, what works best is going with chicken. If you're able to tolerate chicken, I find that works the best. And we basically take a whole chicken and we boil it for 2 hours. Then we take that liquid that it was cooked in, that is your broth. It tastes amazing. It's delicious. And if we take it from there, take the chicken out, throw a bunch of veggies in, cook it up, you've basically created like a soup or a stew that has this really gut healing, like rich in collagen and glutamine and all these beneficial things for the gut, for gut healing, mixed into this soup that we can then portion out and freeze like we did with the previous tip. And that meat that you've cooked, that's perfectly good to eat. Put that in the soup as well. Don't waste that. Some people I've also found do really well with a pressure cooker. And if you're pressure cooking, you only need a really, really short period of time. You can probably get away with cooking a whole chicken in about 30 to 40 minutes. And this way it's going to, again, keep those histamine levels really, really low. My next tip is about fermented foods that are lower in histamine. So there are some fermented foods we're just going to have to avoid for now. So any of the animal-based fermented foods, so this is like the yogurt, the kefir, these are far more likely to give you problems. So I'll just skip on all of those. When it comes to the vegetables, there are a couple of things that we can do in how we make these fermented foods that can make them lower in histamine, so you'll be able to tolerate them better. Now, the biggest trick here is to do something called anaerobic fermentation. So this is where we're going to create an environment where these things are fermenting without oxygen. Anaerobic means without oxygen. So this is actually, it sounds complicated, but it's really easy to do. You basically just go on Amazon and you just search anaerobic fermentation jar. I actually have one in my A to Z supplement list. I will also link that below. So you get a bunch of freebies on this video. You've got the food sensitivities list and the A to Z supplement list. I'll leave both of those in the links in the description a little bit below. Or like I said, you can go on Amazon, search anaerobic fermentation vessel. Basically, it's a jar with this like weird kind of contraption on the top, and it uses water to create an airlock. And what this is basically going to do is it's going to change the types of bacteria that are growing in the fermentation process, and it's going to encourage growth towards histamine degraders instead of histamine producers. Now, this isn't an exact science, but what I've found is that around the 21st day of fermentation is the lowest histamine amount that you're going to get through the whole fermentation process. So fermentation is like a bit of a science, is a bit complicated, but we're not going to get into it because making things complicated doesn't help us solve things, doesn't help us figure things out. So all you really need to know is that as things are fermenting, the histamine levels are going to increase and decrease over time. So they're going to basically fluctuate up and down. But what tends to happen is you've got this initial spike and then it begins to decrease like this, and it comes down. Around day 21 is about the optimal point where you're going to get the lowest amount of histamine content in that food. This way we can make something like sauerkraut at home, or like a vegetable medley where maybe we've got some carrots, some onions, some cabbage mixed together in this vessel with some salt, some brine water, and it basically ferments to make a very probiotic rich, very nourishing, very healing fermented food that's actually really low in histamine. Now, it will still have some, but everyone has some level of histamine tolerance. And if we can add a little bit of this, I did this, I started on 1 drop. I built up 1 drop at a time using this with an anaerobically made sour. And this really helped. It took time. This is a long process, but it allowed me to start tolerating fermented foods again. So we basically want to ferment it for 21 days. And then once you open it, obviously to open it to take stuff out, you're going to put oxygen in it. So at that point, we want to stop the fermentation. So we're basically going to take the whole vessel and just put it in the fridge. And when it's in the fridge, it's going to be cold enough that it basically pauses it at that stage. And then we basically want to try and consume as much of it as we can as quickly as we can. Over time, it will build up more histamine. So again, you're going to notice there's a theme here. This is all about time. The more time that goes by, the more histamine builds up. So ideally, if you're super sensitive, we would want to really consume all of this within 2 weeks. And if there's no way you could do all of that in 2 weeks, just after 2 weeks, let someone else in your family, or give it to a friend or something. It'll be great for them. It'll be really good for their gut, for their immunity. And eventually you'll become so tolerant that you can just eat it all anyway. Next, I've got a bit of a different one for you. So this is for any of you out there that are experiencing histamine-like symptoms from consuming foods that aren't actually high in histamine. And this sounds counterintuitive, but this is something I see all the time. So one of the very common places I see this is when people eat carbohydrates like rice or bread or potatoes, pasta, anything like this, and then they have a histamine reaction to these foods, which are actually all low histamine foods. And then they're kind of like scratching their head like, how am I having a histamine reaction to this food? It doesn't have histamine in it. And the answer is actually really simple. It is low histamine, but you have histamine producers in your gut, and they're eating these foods that you're not digesting correctly and producing histamine in your own gut. So you basically have a histamine factory in your gut. And there are a lot of different microbes that can produce histamine. Things like Klebsiella or Citrobacter. There is a bunch of different proteobacteria produce histamine. It's not super important to get focused on what the histamine producers are, but to understand the biggest problem that you'll have with histamine producers in the gut is when you are eating food that you cannot correctly break down, digest, and absorb. That is what creates an environment for histamine producers to just go absolutely crazy. So one of the best things that we can do to actually help your histamine intolerance symptoms, especially if you are sometimes having histamine reactions to foods that don't have histamine in them, is to support your digestion a little bit better. Now, that's going to look a little bit different for everyone. One of the best ways we can do this is with a digestive enzyme, because it's very broad spectrum. It helps with basically everything. So it's one of these kind of catch-all, tends to be really helpful for the majority of people that try it. But if you want a little bit more of an accurate suggestion, that brings you on to my final tip, which would be to take my gut health quiz. So this is a free quiz that I created. You can fill it out in about 5 minutes. It's really quick. It's literally just yes or no questions. So just ask you questions like, do you experience constipation? Yes or no? And you pick. Do you experiencing diarrhea? And then it's just yes or no. And you just pick yes or no. And it's just a bunch of questions like that, because your symptoms are information. Your symptoms are your body telling us exactly what is wrong. So if we can interpret those symptoms correctly, your body is literally not only telling us what's wrong, but it's actually telling us exactly how to fix it. And I know this is true because, as I said, I had histamine intolerance. I don't have histamine intolerance anymore. And I'm not unique in this. I've had many clients that have had histamine intolerance. They've come to me, they're like on death's door. They are super sensitive. They're only eating 5 foods. They're hyperreactive to everything. And they leave a couple of months later. They're drinking wine. They're eating chocolate. They've added all of these different things back into the diet that they couldn't couldn't handle. And this is because histamine intolerance is your body talking to you. Bloating is your body talking to you. Reflux, constipation, diarrhea, whatever it is, whatever symptom you have is your body talking to you. And this quiz, I've built this in a way where it helps you understand what your body is trying to say. And not only will it help you figure out where your body is having a problem, but it actually gives you practical, actionable, personalized steps. So it literally generates you a personalized report that is unique to you based on your score, based on your answers to the questions. And in that, it's going to provide a more diverse array of recommendations of specific digestive supports that are going to help you based on your symptomology. So if you want to try a digestive enzyme, that's a good option as a quite a big catch-all thing that can be really, really helpful. If you want a little bit more of a personalized recommendation, take the quiz and it will literally give you exactly what it thinks you should do. So I hope you found this video really informative and really helpful. If you learned anything, if any of these things are like really cool tips or tricks for you, I'd really love to know, because obviously I put a lot of time and work and I spent like 5 or 6 years of my life suffering, figuring these things out. So if you find them interesting or helpful, I would really love to know what is resonating with you in the comments. And if you have any questions, I'm always really happy to answer them. So just leave me a comment below and I'd be really happy to answer it. So if you need anything from me, if you need a little bit of extra support, or you want to potentially work with me to work with resolving histamine intolerance or maybe any other type of health problem that you're dealing with, I work with a lot of different stuff. If you've got any kind of like gut-based symptomology, I can basically help you with that. So shoot me an email, support@williamdickinson.co.uk, and I'd be really happy to give you a hand. That's everything from me today. You take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.